Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before you see the section where me actually diving into this artificial reef, I thought I'd give you a brief background of how this artificial reef was sort of commissioned and ended up where it is today. So here we go. Commissioned in 1969 by the Royal Navy. It's a frigate, I believe it's like a Lender class, and they named it Bacanti, if I pronounce that right. And it served the Royal Navy for roughly 12 years, and in that time it was used for normal routine patrols and also used in the Cod Wars, I believe in the Atlantic region, and also in 1982 in the Falklands War during the exclusion zone. Briefly after that it was decommissioned and sold to the New Zealand Navy under the name of Wellington, where it served with the New Zealand Navy for 18 years, and in that time it was used for ceremonial duties and also the part of the United Nations arms embargo against Iraq. Now roughly in the year 2000 it was decommissioned and was going to end up as scrap, but during this time there was a trust in Wellington and the local community and some divers who wanted their own artificial wreck for Wellington, as there was one further north up in the islands which was called the Canterbury. I believe it took roughly 6 years before they actually bought it off the government for $1 New Zealand, and it was moored not far from my location. Now you wonder what's behind me. This sort of copper looks like a tip of a missile. It's actually one of the propellers of the actual F69. So I'll turn my camera around. The F69 was just located not far from this location. The other one is located in Island Bay, and it's in the direction of where the F69 is laid, which is roughly about 850 meters. Not far from actual propeller, the F69 was moored up in this location, which is called the Wellington Walkway or Esplanade. That's Wellington City there. So she was moored up and tied up to these anchor points here. You can see the orange markers there. And then there was a long process of stripping the actual ship for the unnecessary metals and wiring that contained copper, and all this was sold off to scrap dealers, where the money was reinvested into the project. The actual project, or the trust, was called SINK, the F69. So this took a long process, and in the meantime specialists were starting to drill out holes and for the method of sinking, because there had to be a synchronized sort of method of explosion to get the actual ship to sink upright. Now Wellington known is for its wind, so there was a delayed before she could move away from this sort of harbour area. She was towed away by two iconic tugboats because she didn't have any power. In November 2005 she was taken to Island Bay, where she was under a lot of media and local attention, and she was sunk with the explosions and with a big firework display. She sunk upright, and I think a few days later a couple of divers went out to actually explore to see everything was in safe for our divers to start diving. Unfortunately, a year later there was a massive storm off Island Bay, recorded waves of about roughly 12 meters, and unfortunately it broke the F69 in two. Right guys, I hope you found that sort of information helpful or useful or interesting. As you find some videos with artificial reefs or wrecks, you just see a video and nothing else of how this artificial reef got here. Okay, the next part, as I mentioned, it will be me diving in the F69, and I'll be talking, telling you where I am on the part of the F69. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. As always, safe diving until next time. With was the old blue cod. These guys are really friendly. and very nosy as well. So we've just come at the base of the bridge. It's just swimming to the side of it. Visitors have mentioned about 6 meters, wasn't too bad. Now in this photo you just point out where the bridge is. This is of the F69, and you have to, as I mentioned, this has been totally gutted, so in this bridge there's no instruments, there's no glass panels, it's all been removed. Right, next we're swimming below the bridge. There used to be a door there, but obviously that's been removed due to being a hazard. Yeah, it's just below the bridge. As you can see, it's quite bare. There's no wiring, there's no instruments, there's no piping. As I said, this is an artificial reef and it's been totally gutted. So to the left is the bridge area. There's some sort of metal steps. As I said, all the windows have been taken out, and above the roof of the bridge there's a square that's been made on purpose to help in aiding of the sinking of the ship. And this picture, you see how it was before it actually sunk, and you've noticed the actual square on top of the roof. Left and right there's more compartments. Maybe one could be for the radios or for stores. See all the pebbles and sand, future past storms that have entered the bridge area. And next, as far as I'm concerned, this looks like to me the captain's toilet. I think it's flooded. Right, now we're above the bridge, swimming along. Now you've noticed there was no radar or anything like that. That's been taken away for scrap. So there was nothing really much to see above. Now this is the side of the bridge. What I could make out, it looks like part of the skin has basically disappeared, maybe from the storms, and you can actually see right inside the side of the ship. Looks like different areas of the ship, compartments, maybe storeway. There's a galleyway where I believe sailors will walk up and down to get the different compartments. Was going to enter that, but thought better not, as we didn't own the ship that well. A few wiring still visible, so obviously never got rid of all the wiring. As you can see, the side of the ship, which is the side of the, or behind the bridge, is the part of the skin of the ship is just totally disappeared. There's a bit of wreckage further out away from the actual ship itself. Now in the area of the hangar, which I believe used to be at where the helicopter used to get stored. As you can tell from this picture, this is where we roughly were on the ship. And the old blue cord there. Now we're going over the top of the hangar, heading back to the bow of the ship. Now this is us looking down into, I think, purpose cut out rectangles or squares that the guys have made, again, for the sinking of the ship. A couple of ladders and compartments. You can see there has been an artificial reef There's a lot of good abundance of kelp and fish that swim around here. That's a ladder going down to compartment. Just sticking my head down, having a quick look. Right, this is the second part of the dive. This is where we come to the bow. As I mentioned, this was unfortunately split into two due to a storm. So this is us at the rear of that section, and where the direction of the dive is going, that's the bow. Now, the shadow figure here, that's one of the turrets. I just had one gun on this ship. Apparently this weighs roughly about 12 tons. Now, the hull is at an angle roughly about 90 degrees. Part of it is embedded and buried into the sand. See these fish, they just basically were doing laps around this wreck. Now we're going to enter or have a quick look into the gun, into the turret. Again, there's a few holes that have been cut out. Again, helps in the aiding of the sinking of the ship. So we're swimming at the side of the gun, and this is a one twin 4.5 inch gun. And we come around, you see the two barrels. Now again, as I mentioned, it's on a funny angle. What we'll do, turn the camera around, and you've got a rough idea where it looks like if it's facing upright. Now we're over the forward deck. You can see the chain to the left, and also you can see the rectangles that have been cut out. And swimming along, having a quick peep inside. This is all along the deck of the ship, heading towards the bow. Right, now coming to the bow of the ship, and you will see how she's lying, and also you can see the chains where she's been anchored in, and the chains are just buried amongst the sand. And you're probably got a rough idea how she's lying as we just come around this corner here. So now we're swimming around the side of the hull. Again, part of the skins or of the hull has just disappeared, and then we're just looking into the side of the ship. Again, these could be storage areas, as there's a lot of shelving. It's quite hard to make out what these sort of compartments were. And again, it's just full of sand. There looks like a ladder, or that could be shelving. I think this could be the magazine housing of the actual armament, which could be located, which is likely to the side of it. But that's coming to the end of our dive. Obviously, we're going to ascend, do our safety stop, and get picked up by the boat from Dive Wellington. Glad I managed to get this dive in, as last time it got cancelled due to bad weather. Hopefully this ship won't get broken up again, as we're experiencing a cyclone called Gabriel, which is going to hit New Zealand in the next couple of days. So fingers crossed it doesn't get destroyed. So as I said, we're getting picked up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep your eye out for more videos. I've got another wreck dive coming up soon. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, safe diving.